Hey there, in this video, we are going to discuss the top ways to market your open house to get the most amount of leads into your database, most importantly, but also to increase the traffic to your open house. So, you are most likely an agent holding open house after open house, and you are absolutely frustrated with the number of people either coming to your open house or the number of actual leads you are getting around that open house, right? And so, what we are going to do today is I'm going to break down 6 different ways to actually market your open house to get the most amount of leads possible. I've talked to many different agents who have implemented this marketing plan and who, on average, get 10, 20, and 30 new leads from their open houses. Now, I know you may be thinking, yeah, right. There's no way that in today's world that 10, 20, and 30 people are coming through an open house. But I'm going to start with talking about our mindset on what we are actually trying to accomplish with the open house outside of actually selling that house. We are trying to get as many leads as possible, utilizing this open house and this listing as an excuse to have a conversation, right? And what I mean by that is it's a lot easier to maybe talk to a neighbor about the upcoming open house. And in that conversation with that neighbor, you're able to solidify a relationship and a potential for a future sale with that person. And so I'm going to talk about how we are going to use the open house as an excuse or as a conversation starter with a couple of different avenues that we can actually enter those people into the database, continue to follow up with them, and continue to ultimately work with them and either represent them as a buyer or a seller. So the first thing we got to do is make sure our mindset is correct around an open house. And what I mean by correct is we've got to remember that we are going to focus on things that we can control versus things that we cannot control. Things we can't control, what the current market looks like, right? Or the atmosphere of the current market. What we cannot control is if it is sunny outside or if it is rainy, right? What we can control is the number of conversations that we are having prior to this open house in order to get the most amount of traffic or in order to actually get that information from that person so that we can continue to follow up, right? And so I want you to think through instead of you relating a successful open house to the number of people that walk through the door, I want you to change your mindset to instead think of a successful open house being the number of new contacts entered into the database using this open house as a conversation starter, right? And so I'm going to go over this and the next couple of steps here, but I want you to think through that it's not just the people that are entering into the open house, but it is also any and every conversation that we can have around this open house in order to gather that contact info so that we can follow up with valuable information. So, the first thing we're going to do in terms of actually marketing the open house is please don't skip out on the basics. I have seen several open house signs in actual open houses where it's not even entered into the MLS or on realtor.com or on Zillow. You guys know it is no secret that most of the time, the actual traffic from the open house outside of open house signs are Zillow, realtor.com, portal sites like these. So it's important that you double check to make sure that you get your open house into the MLS and syndicated across the Zillow, realtor.com, Trulia, all of those places, and make sure you do it in enough time so that they are notified and can actually make the plans to go to your open house. If your open house is on Saturday, you don't want to upload this on a Friday because then people may not see it in time for Saturday or they may not be able to carve it out of their weekend plans to actually go see the house. Also, open house signs. Now, we've all seen open house signs, right? And if you are one of those people that are extremely creative and you have this awesome design around this open house sign and you spent a ton of money getting these awesome, flashy open house signs, that is wonderful. I am here to tell you that that does not matter, right? Now, yes, if you have some sort of flag waving in the air or something that's going to grab someone's attention, sure, that's very cool. And that is going to get people into your open house. But to me and my experience of the last 7 years of doing successful open houses, it is more about the quantity of signs than it is the quality of signs. I like to say that no one is going to choose to come to your open house because your sign is pretty. They're going to choose to come to your open house because they see that there is an open house. They want to see the house, not necessarily meet the person that created the really awesome sign, right? And so we've got to make sure that we are not getting in our way by either spending a ton of money or only putting out 3 signs because I could only afford to pay for 3 pretty signs, right? Go to Home Depot order them off of Amazon, get a ton of signs. You want to be putting out 10, 15, 20, even 30 signs per open house. The goal is to hit them with quantity. So as they're driving, they see one open house sign and they say, "Oh man, there's an open house down there. I wonder what house it is." And they keep driving and they see another one saying, "Hey, turn right for the open house." And they say, let me just ride by." They see another sign, another sign, another sign. It is more about quantity than it is about quality of your open house sign, which I know in today's age, when it's all about branding, yes, that is important. You can make sure that your signs are branded, but do not let that get in the way of a successful open house. It's all about the quantity here. All right, let's talk about another obvious one, socials. Now, you do want to do a static post. And what I mean by a static post is just a generic open house post, right? And you really want to do this. You may be asking, wait a minute, but I don't have that many followers, or I don't have that many people that like my business page. Truthfully, I like to use the open house static post as what I call social proof for later, right? And what I mean by that is when I am in a future listing appointment, let's say that I am in the neighborhood of an open house that I held 2 weeks ago and I'm on a listing appointment, instead of me telling that owner, "Hey, I advertise my open houses on social media." Instead, I can actually show him by pulling up social media or asking him to pull up my social media page, right? And allowing him to then see my open house post that I do. That is social proof. That means I actually did it. He actually believed that I held the open house rather than me just saying, "Hey, I just held an open house 2 weeks ago in your neighborhood," right? And so that is a little bit of social proof for later. Not a lot of people will come to your open house because of the static post. Now, some people will come if you do what I call a Facebook event, right? Or what Facebook calls a Facebook event, right? The reason why I like these is because Facebook does a lot of the advertising on your behalf. So they oftentimes suggest events based off of events that they've responded to in the past. So if there's someone on Facebook that has responded to an open house event, meaning they've selected, "Yes, I'm going," then Facebook is going to traditionally push more open house events to them. And so I would love to take advantage of those free dollars, right, of advertising, and actually be able to advertise to those that are going to actively going to open houses. This will also remind them of the open house. If they select that they are going to that open house, Facebook does the work for you and they remind them either 24 or 48 hours before that event so that they do not forget about that said event, which I like. Now, we're going to jump into the big money makers and this other piece of the puzzle, which is getting contacts and getting actual leads from their open house before the open house even happens, right? All right, I'm going to talk about a few of the bigger money makers here. And this is going to be that concept of using the open house as a conversation starter to actually get real hot seller leads. Okay. And so the first thing we're going to do is we are going to circle prospect using that open house as a conversation starter. So we're going to call up the neighbor. We're going to let them know of the new listing. We're going to let them know of the open house. Simply just a PSA, right? "Hey, you may see some traffic. We are holding the first 30 minutes to an hour of this open house exclusive to the neighborhood because we know that neighbors or people that live in a neighborhood oftentimes either one, want the scoop of what their neighbor's house looks like, or two, they will oftentimes have friends that desire to move into that neighborhood. And so we want to give those people the first look at the open house. Otherwise, you can come see us. We'll be there from 4 to 6 p.m. And then what that does is that invites people to open up about their current situation and about their house. And so you have the potential to either book a listing appointment or, better yet, just begin the very beginnings of a quality relationship to ultimately represent them in the sale of their house. You do want them in this conversation to open up about their house. Do they know neighbors A, B, and C? Have they been to the house before? How does it compare to them? Are they interested in understanding the value of their home? Or what would an open house look like at their house, right? This is going to be the very beginning of a easy relationship to establish because you are not asking them for anything. You're just simply doing a public service announcement. And so I've got a sample script here of what this can look like. And so it's, "Hey, this is blank with ABC Realty. I'm calling because we just listed a home in insert your neighborhood. I thought you might be interested in knowing the home just came on the market, and I wanted to see if you know of anyone who may have interest in attending the open house I'm hosting. It's going to be on this day at this time." And again, you can talk about the exclusivity of the neighborhood, right? Someone says yes, find out who, get their contact information or commitment to make a connection, right? If they say, no, I don't know anyone, you can say something like, I understand this call was a little out of the blue. Blank, their name. When we host an open house like this, we often get buyers for the neighborhood, but not for that particular home that we're holding open. Out of curiosity, if there is a potential that your home could be a better fit, would there be any circumstances that you'd consider an offer from them? Massive. That's such an easy thing to say, right? We use the open house as a conversation starter to open up the conversation on their interest in potentially selling their home. If they say yes, find timing and motivation and ultimately get the listing consult, right? If they say no, I wouldn't be interested in entertaining an offer, then that's totally fine. We can say, okay, well, Sarah, we like to keep up to date on the market and try to find homes before they hit the market to give to our buyers or give our buyers a competitive advantage. Do you happen to know of any neighbors who may be selling their homes this coming year? They say yes. Perfect. If they say no, okay, I appreciate your time. Before I go, I do have one last thing I'd like to mention. Our team sends out a great personalized home equity report to each of our past clients. They're full of useful information on their home's value and more. They're also free for anyone who has any interest in getting them. Would you like for us to set you up with this so that you can keep an eye on your home's value and the market in your neighborhood? And so, what we really want to do is if they say no to this, we still want them to try and agree to this last question here, which is, would you like us to set you up with this so that, or would we have permission to call you on a regular basis or call you when something hits the market or when we come across an off market that may be similar to your home? What we want to do is we want to initiate a conversation with them so that we can get the permission to follow up. The money's in the follow up here. While it's going to be awesome if you are able to book a listing appointment, that is going to be rare, right? That's going to be a quick win, which again is awesome. We will do cartwheels when that happens. However, what we're trying to do is we are trying to gather their information and gather their permission, gather everything that we can about their current situation so that when a home pops up on the market 2 months from now, that's across the street, we can call them again and say, hey, it's me, Ryan. We talked a few months ago about the open house over at 123 Main Street. Did you see that John and Rachel listed their house? What do you think? How does that house compare to yours? I just want to check in and see how things are going. You guys doing okay? We keep doing that time after time. We're going to create a relationship. And ultimately, they're either going to sell their home with me or they are going to come across someone and say, hey, I know someone who absolutely is a professional and a master at this specific neighborhood. You need to call them, right? That is how we're going to get more deals out of that one open house, right? The next way we are going to market our open house is door knocking. Now, I've got in parentheses here, relax, right? The minute I say door knocking, everyone tenses up, right? But again, this is an easy conversation. You are not soliciting, right? You are not asking for them or selling anything to them yet, right? All we are doing is we are knocking on the door, letting them know that the open house is happening down the street and that there may be a little more traffic. I'm the real estate agent hosting the open house, and I just wanted to let you know as a common courtesy that there may be some traffic, and that's why. Also, we are holding the first hour of the open house exclusive to neighbors. So if you wanted to see it, or if you had a friend or two that you wanted to show the house to, bring them on by. We'll be glad to open the doors for you an hour early, right? Again, we are hopefully talking to the person that we've also circle prospected and gotten on the phone with. And now we can put a face to a name. You are ideally going to door knock actually a day or two before the open house. This is where people mess up, is when they door knock, they oftentimes go an hour or two earlier. I want you to door knock a few days prior, right? Give them time to think about the open house and to plan to attend or to bring their friends by that open house, right? If we catch them 30 minutes before the open house, they're either not going to answer the door or they're going to have plans or they're less likely to actually swing by the open house. You can do both. You can door knock a day or two before. You can also then door knock 15 minutes, 30 minutes before the open house as well. However, you've got to remember, again, you are just doing a PSA. My goal for you is to circle prospect someone down the street, get them on the phone, have a great conversation with them, and then door knock, meet them face to face and say, hey, it's me. Again, just a reminder, I thought about you. I printed out this CMA for your home, whatever it may be. But again, that is 2 touches in 1 week around that open house. And it's allowing you to, again, gather the information. You're having the same conversation that you just did down here with door knocking. It's the same script. I'm just letting the neighbors know I've got a new home on the market. I thought you might be interested in knowing about the open house. And ask them these same questions. These are very easy questions. These are not awkward questions to ask, right? We often get buyers for the neighborhoods. In case a buyer comes through, I just want to ask if I can get your contact information. Would we be able to come by and see your home? Would you entertain an offer? Right? Just go through these questions. These are very easy questions to ask. They are not harmful. I promise this will go way better than you actually think it is. There's such a negative connotation around door knocking, and that might be because you don't like your door knocked, but I'm telling you, there are several people that like to strike up conversations around these door knocking conversations, and this will be a benefit to your business. Again, you are adding more contacts into your database using this open house as a conversation starter so that you can then follow up a month from now, 2 months from now, 3 months from now, when another house enters into the market and you're able to have another quality conversation, right? I would have some CMAs printed out on hand so that when you do have a quality conversation, you could drop it off. It's just informative. Again, you're not trying to book a listing consultation. If you go in to a door knocking session and your goal is to book a listing consultation, you're going to be very disappointed. And instead, your goal is to gather as much information, phone number, email address, enough about their current situation, why they moved here, how long have they been in the neighborhood, get all of that information that you can so that you can then have a meaningful follow-up conversation later in the future, right? That is how we are going to get more leads from this open house. Yes. And then lastly, I want you to incorporate two different follow-up metrics here, right? We're going to do handwritten notes and video. Okay. Two things that are going to be absolutely outstanding for your branding and your marketing is a handwritten note, something about or something that has to do with the conversation that you had with them, right? We're not going to handwrite the entire neighborhood. If it's a neighborhood of 500 homes, I do not expect you to handwrite notes to all 500 neighbors. But what I do expect you to do is follow up on a conversation that you had, either circle prospecting or door knocking or both, and follow up with a handwritten note, just letting them know it was great to speak to them and insert personal thing about their house or about their current situation. That you can do. One of my favorite handwritten letters that I've received from an open house door knocking session was someone went out and bought, I think they got maybe 10 to 20 people to answer the phone and to answer their doors. And what they did is they went and bought $5 Starbucks gift card and they said, "Thank you for your time. I hope that in the same amount of time that I took from you that you can go enjoy a coffee on me," right? And it was just a $5 Starbucks gift card. It went over so well. That person got so many referrals. Not a single listing appointment was booked from that session, but they got 4 referrals from 10 to 20 people, right? 4 immediate referrals to represent buyers and sellers just due to the handwritten note with the Starbucks gift card, right? No one is doing that. That is how you own the follow up process of an open house. That is how you do more business from open houses. It's not just about the open house traffic that comes through the door. It is using this open house as a conversation starter and as an excuse to talk to more people. You also want to incorporate video follow up. I don't care if you feel awkward on video, I don't care. It shows a personal touch and it furthers their relationship because they are able to see your tonality and your expression through your video, unlike an email follow up or a text follow up, right? They're not going to remember who texted them or who potentially called them or emailed them. Send them either a video and an email or in a text message, just following up. And again, if you want some extra points here and you want more referrals out of these conversations or you want them to remember you, include something in your video that you guys discussed, right? You could have discussed, "Hey, what are you doing for the holidays?" "Oh, I'm going up and so and I'm going to visit." Great. 2 weeks later, drop a note in the mailbox and then send them a follow up asking them how their holiday in Pittsburgh went, right? That will be so meaningful. And you will be able to create a deep enough relationship that you will then be able to follow up a month down the road when another home hits the market for you to say, "Hey, did you see this home? How does it compare to yours? What do you think? What is your current situation? How was the holidays in Pittsburgh?" You can start to create a relationship. You can then have a buyer or seller or a referral to a buyer or seller, all because of this one open house, right? Your ultimate goal here, this is what I want you to remember. Your ultimate goal here is to get more people into the database, to have more quality follow up in the future, and to establish new solid relationships with the people that you enter into the database. We have got to change our mindset from thinking that a successful open house is the number of people that come through the actual open house, the number of physical traffic that comes through, versus the number of new contacts we are adding into the database. That is how you're going to sell 10 to 20 homes from the lead source of an open house. It is because you are going to circle prospect, door knock, follow up relentlessly with these people because you've created a new valuable relationship, and you're going to follow up with that said relationship to either represent them or to get referrals from them in the future. I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope that there were a few takeaways that you can implement into your business to absolutely crush open houses moving forward. If you like this video and if you want more tips and tricks on how to scale your real estate business, check out the rest of my videos. Or if you want to jump on a call with me to see how I can implement strategies like this into your business, there's a link below to my calendar. See you there.